What is up, everybody? Coach Juma here, and today we're going to be breaking down the best way to train for fat loss. So we're going to be breaking down why resistance training is the main training you want to do while losing fat. We're going to break down what a proper and complete resistance training program looks like and possible splits that you could follow. And finally, we're going to be talking about what to look and aim for in every single session that you work out with, including what kind of lifting intensity you should aim for, how much weight you should be going, and what the goal of every rep and every set you're doing is going to be. So it's going to be pretty in-depth. We might make this into 2 videos. I don't know yet. We'll see. You'll know before I know because you're going to see it here in the title. It might be part 1 or it might be just one part. I don't know how this is going to go, but yeah. Okay. So getting started, we're going to talk about why resistance training is the most preferred and optimal training for fat loss goals. There's a number of reasons for it, but more than anything with resistance training, you get to work on the physique that you actually want to build. Whereas if you focus on just cardio and just eating in a calorie deficit, you're going to be losing weight that is going to be equal parts muscle and equal parts fat, which doesn't give anyone the look that they want to go for. No one gets toned doing that. They don't get any kind of muscle definition. They just become smaller versions of themselves, which for some people that's what they want, and that's great. But if you're watching this, you probably want to know how to have a good, strong, muscular body that you feel proud of when you look in the mirror. This isn't to say that you shouldn't have cardio when you're working towards your weight loss or your fat loss goals, but just that resistance training should make up a bulk of the activity that you're doing and cardio a minority of it. In fact, cardio shouldn't be used as a calorie burning activity. It should be used as a supplement to improve your training performance so that you can build a better and stronger physique through training. The 2 biggest reasons you want to look to do resistance training as a majority of your workout program and not cardio is because 1, with resistance training, it's very hard for your body to adapt to resistance training. With cardio, your body adapts really quickly, which means that if you do the same cardio program for 4 weeks straight, by the 4th week, your body is going to be burning fewer calories doing that same activity. Whereas with resistance training, because there's so many variables at play here, it's a lot harder for your body to adapt to it. So you're still able to burn the same amount, if not more calories by the time you're 4 weeks into a resistance training program than if you were doing a cardio program. And from an efficiency perspective, if you wanted to burn more calories doing cardio, there's only 2 things that you can do. Ramp up the intensity, which there's a ceiling for how fast you could go, how hard you could go. And if you do cardio consistently, you'll hit that ceiling pretty quickly. Or increase the amount of time you're doing cardio, which means that if you're doing currently an hour a day for 4 days a week, in 4 weeks, you're going to need to do 90 minutes a day, 4 days a week to keep up with that. And in another 4 weeks, you're going to have to do 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. And it's just going to continue building and building and building. Your joints are going to start hurting you. You're not going to be able to keep up with it. And you're going to feel burnt out really quickly. With resistance training, you can make very subtle changes that take up the same amount of time in your gym session. So this can be increasing weight. This could be adding reps. This could be adding sets, reducing rest time, changing the angle of the movement that you're doing, adding intensifiers like drop sets or supersets to keep the caloric expenditure high and keep your body from adapting to the movements that you want to do. There's a lot more flexibility with it, so you don't have to commit more time to your schedule to do the same amount of work. And likewise, thinking about the long term, it's going to be easier to do 3 to 4 training sessions a week that's focused on weightlifting than it is to do 6 times a week of cardio, trying to run as much as you can. Again, if you love cardio, you like doing it, by all means do it. But if you're using it as a means to an end and you're trying to get to weight loss and you want to maintain the weight loss afterwards and you're not a fan of it, you're better off doing resistance training, putting your energy toward that and focusing on that more. And the second thing is, in the long term, your metabolism increases with resistance training because you're building more muscle mass on your body. It takes more calories to maintain muscle tissue on your body than it does any other tissue. So having more lean muscle tissue on your body is going to lead to you being able to eat more calories at rest without gaining weight. But with cardio, you're not building new muscle tissue. So once you're done with the weight loss and you're coming out of that deficit, you're going to need to eat a fewer amount of calories to maintain that weight and keep up that high caloric expenditure through cardio. So now that we know the importance of resistance training and why you need to make it the bulk of your training during a fat loss phase, let's talk about what type of resistance training is going to be best and how to properly set up that resistance training program so you can get the most out of your time in the gym. When it comes to resistance training, there's a lot of different kinds of resistance training. There's going to be powerlifting, which is trying to lift as much weight as you can, really focusing on big compound lifts and getting the numbers up as high as you can week over over week. The goal there is focusing on strength. This isn't optimal for fat loss because being in a calorie deficit doesn't lead to creating more strength. You're not fueling your body enough to get stronger and have the energy it needs to lift heavier loads. Usually when you're in a calorie deficit and training at the same time, you're looking to maintain the weights you're lifting or limit how much weaker you get over time. Just because, again, you're not getting in the caloric intake you need to sustain that strength. Just like with a car, you don't get enough gas, you can't go as far. This is the same kind of idea. So powerlifting, not the appropriate type of training. What is going to be more ideal is a hypertrophy focused bodybuilding style program. The reason being is because, again, the main goal here with resistance training is trying to maintain or build as much muscle as we can. And the best way to do that is by doing a muscle focused training program. So you want to put your muscles in a position where they are going through a full range of motion. They are being challenged appropriately under different loads, different angles, being put through the different rep ranges needed to stimulate all of the muscle fibers. So now what does a smart training program like that look like? Well, a complete training program is going to look like this. It's going to be made up of a few phases: the mobilization phase, the priming and activation phase, the metric-based lift, accessories and isolations, and ending off with some sort of finisher. Now, these are all the phases of a complete training program, but that doesn't mean you need to do a complete training program each and every day. If you're new to the gym and just want to get comfortable, starting with just the first 3 phases is going to be a great start for you to get into the groove of things. But if you have the time, you have the experience, and you're ready to make something happen, getting in all of these is going to be the most ideal thing for you. So this is what a smart training program is going to be looking like, and we're going to use an upper body day as an example. And this is going to be an example of a real workout that I give my clients and you will soon have access to through the Stupid Fit training app coming to you this summer. So starting off with the mobilization phase, we want to start with mobilizing our shoulders because these are going to be the main mover during an upper body day workout. So one mobilization exercise that I really like to incorporate and is pretty much a staple for me as somebody that's dislocated both of my shoulders, the band giant set, which is going to incorporate band wraparounds, banded face pulls, and banded pull aparts. This really gets my shoulders loose and moving through a full range of motion so that they can do all of the movements properly that I need to be done during the training program. And also it helps warm up and tighten some of the stabilizing muscles, which are going to be across my upper back through doing the face pulls and the pull aparts. The main thing here you want to focus on is thinking about what joints you're going to be using and mobilizing those joints in advance of working the exercise. And also thinking about working and tightening the stabilizing muscles for that body part. More often than not, those are going to be posterior chain muscles that you want to activate. So for upper body, upper back muscles, for lower body, glutes and hamstrings. After you've mobilized your joints, you've created some stiffness around the stabilizing muscles of those joints, it's time to go into the activation and priming phase. And this is going to be more specific to the metric-based lift phase that we're going to get into in a little bit. You want to get the muscles involved with the metric-based lift working already and going through an explosive movement pattern as well to connect your central nervous system through it. You're going to be pushing heavy weights in the metric-based lift phase. That's the whole point of it. You want to lift as much as you can. So you need your body wired and ready to go so that you can push the weight and move it around aggressively and as strongly as possible. So doing explosive work is going to be key here. In this instance, our metric-based lift is going to be a regular barbell bench press. To get ready for that, we're going to be doing a set of plain old push-ups alongside with PLYO push-ups. This way we're getting our chest worked and we're going through the movement pattern of a bench press, which is a horizontal push, and then also going through that movement pattern as explosively as we can with a plyometric push-up. This part often gets ignored, but it's really, really important because it's really going to help you take a good workout and make it into a great workout into one of the best workouts you've had. This helps fulfill your potential that you could be doing in the gym. And if you're ignoring it, you're leaving results on the table. So being explosive with the movement pattern and working on the muscle that is going to be worked, getting it prepared for the movement is going to be what you're going to be doing here. So far we got the band giant set, 1 to 2 rounds of that, push-ups followed by plyo push-ups, 2 to 3 rounds of that for a few sets. And now we're ready to get into the actual meat of the training program, the metric-based lift. Now that your body's been warmed up, your heart rate is up, your body temperature is up, and your joints and muscles are ready to go, you can get into the metric-based lift. Upper body workout, we're going to be working out the barbell bench press. There's a lot of different ways to work this out, but ideally for this lift, you want to lift as heavy as possible, which means keeping it in the lower rep range. Anywhere between 3 to 8 reps is going to be ideal for each set that you're performing. We're going to be talking about intensity later on in the video, or maybe part 2, like I mentioned earlier. I don't know yet. You'll know. I won't.
I want to know now.
No. A high intensity lift means lifting as much as you can for that rep range that you're performing. So that means keeping the rep range low for this particular lift is going to be most optimal to burn the most amount of calories, but also it's going to be great for your overall hormonal health and joint health as well. Moving heavy weight makes you stronger. It makes your joints stronger. It builds more muscle on you, and it improves your longevity over time. You're able to be an old person that doesn't need to rely on a cane or any kind of walking help. So lifting heavy, doing it consistently, and being explosive with the movement has a lot of health benefits, not just physique benefits too. And now from there, you're going to go into what are known as auxiliary lifts or accessory lifts. And these are less intense versions of the metric based lift. And what you do here really depends on your split, but we're going through an upper body day, so all the muscles are being worked here. And I like to superset the next workout with another similar movement pattern, so a horizontal pushing movement pattern and an antagonistic movement pattern, which is an opposite movement. So we're going to go with a horizontal pull here. One of my favorite supersets here is going to be the incline dumbbell bench press, followed by a chest supported dumbbell row. Again, we're still trying to lift pretty heavy here, but the rep ranges for this one are going to be a little bit higher than the one for the metric based lift. This doesn't have to be as intense. It's just adding more training volume to the muscle that you already worked, and also creating a stretch effect working with the antagonistic model to help with maintaining and building more muscle tissue. The ideal rep range for this set of exercises is anywhere between 6 to 12. I usually like to go 8 to 12, but in some cases, really pushing the weight with 6 reps and getting as much out of it as you can. This phase is bigger than all the other phases. You can have as little as 2 exercises or as much as 4 exercises in this part. Really depends on your training experience, how much time you want to commit to the gym, and what you want to go through. But more often than not, just having 2 to 4 exercises is going to be ideal. Now, continuing on with the same auxiliary accessory phase, we're going to be hitting the shoulders now. We got heavy lateral raises here to really challenge the shoulders and attack this muscle a little bit more, because it's already being worked with all the movements we've done so far. Isolating it now helps us hit it even more as opposed to touching on it like we have been so far. Heavy lateral raises, this one we're going to be going for 6 to 8 reps is my particular choice, but again, we're still keeping in the same 6 to 12 rep range for this phase. And then lastly, we go into the finisher phase, which depending on your goal and depending on your preferences can look like a lot of different ways. Personally, I like getting a nice good pump, building some metabolites and getting my muscles worked on metabolites and getting the blood rushing with the really small accessory muscles. So I will do something like a cable flex curl for around 12 reps and then do tricep extensions for about 20 reps. This one you can really amp up the reps and attack those smaller muscle groups as much as possible. You can even throw in a chest-based finisher if that's what you want to do, and do a push-up ladder or something similar to that as well. But in this finisher phase, the reps can be anywhere between 5 to 25 reps. We like to get a variety of rep ranges in for the different muscle groups during a training program, because this helps attack them in a different way. It helps use different energy systems so that you're training yourself not just muscularly, but also cardiovascularly and metabolically as well, and you're helping elicit as much change in your body as possible. Now, when deciding to do a resistance training program, one of the most popular questions is how often should I go and what kind of split should I do? And this really depends. If you're just starting off, regardless of your experience, it's always best to choose something that fits your schedule ideally. There's no reason to force 6 days a week of training if you don't have access to a gym 6 days a week. Instead, look to do anywhere between 3 to 5 days a week. I think 6 can be excessive more often than not and isn't really necessary to make major changes with your body. And from there, you can choose whatever split you feel most comfortable doing or you prefer doing as well. Generally speaking, for a 3-day split, I like doing 3 full body days or a full body day and then an upper and a lower day. With a 4-day-a-week split, my personal most preferred that I like for myself and for programming is an upper lower split where you do upper body one day, lower body one day, and repeat that for the next 2 days. The focuses of each day are different, but those are the muscle groups you're going to be working. Another one I really like is full body one day and then push-pull legs for the final 3 days. Or you can go full body 4 days a week, and that's also a great one and a fun one to do as well. If you're doing a 5-day split, the 2 that I really enjoy the most is going to be upper body day, lower body day, followed by push-pull legs, or a 5-day full body split. Those usually yield the best results. They give you good volume and challenge you in a fun way without it being overbearing on any of your joints or being too taxing to recover from. Recapping what a smart training program looks like, you're starting off with the mobilization phase, which in this case is a band giant set for 1 to 2 rounds. Then going into the priming and activation phase, which we're going to be doing a push-up and plyo push-up superset for 2 to 3 rounds. Getting into the metric based lift for 3 to 5 sets of 3 to 8 reps. In this case, we're going to be doing the barbell bench press and then going through your accessory / auxiliary lifts. In this case, we're supersetting incline dumbbell bench press with a chest supported dumbbell row for 3 sets of 8 to 10 and 10 to 12 respectively. And then finishing the auxiliary phase with dumbbell lateral raises, 3 sets of a heavy 6 reps before going into the finisher, which in this case is going to be a bicep tricep superset where we do flex curls for 15 reps and tricep extensions for 20 reps. And this is what a smart, well-designed training program is going to look like. And you can plug and play this with any kind of day that you want to do or any kind of split that you want to follow as well. But the key thing here and the main principle and idea that you need to get across is that when designing a training program, you want to have those phases in place and aim for those rep ranges in place. Having a variety of rep ranges, once again, is very key to having a great physique by the end of your training program and the end of your weight loss phase. So I hope you found this helpful. In the next video, part 2, because we decided we're doing part 2, we're going to be talking about what to focus on in each and every rep, how much weight you should be lifting, and understanding what intensity means during an that was intense. This guy gets it. He gets it. And understanding what intensity means from a resistance training perspective, not a sneeze perspective. You're the closing joke of this video. How does it feel?